The latest Attack on Titan episode ranged for one entire hour, and it absolutely blew me away. I'm only surprised and yet astounded at not only the animation, but the storytelling and the path that Eren has chosen is far different than I would have imagined. We start off the episode with Eren going through some sort of flashback. There's two kids in the forest trying to hide some money and frantically looking as the rumbling has begun. And after this, we are brought to a flashback, one of which Eren is walking through the city, reminiscing about what he apparently saw when he kissed Historia's hand. This is something that we didn't know about for years, and I've always wondered what Eren saw, and it widely explains the reason why Eren is going this far in the rumbling to begin with. He's doing this not only because he feels like it's the right thing to do, but he inevitably feels like it's his destiny, it's his fate, and that he absolutely has to, especially since he already foresaw it in the future. It's kind of like having a massive deja vu, except you know it's super accurate and that you're already gonna walk on this path. It is something that you can refuse and walk another direction, but if the ending he saw was peace from doing the rumbling, then that's something he absolutely could not hesitate to do in order to save Paradise Island and everybody he cares about. We see Eren talk to the kid from the beginning of the episode, but can't help but stop from breaking down tears as he apologizes to the kid since he knows his fate. And I think this is some pretty good storytelling, not to mention character building for Eren to begin with. The previous episode showed Eren as a cold and colluded character who's simply only doing what he had to in order to save Paradise Island, showing absolutely no remorse and care for anybody who got in his way or the enemy itself. But now that we see Eren being a lot more sentimental about the idea of the rumbling and the fact that he actually doesn't want to do this and it's something that he has to do in his mind, builds for a better story overall. I figured Eren just turned edgy, but that's not the case at all. Now that we get this massive perspective of what it feels like to be Eren in his own eyes and how he views the world, you get to understand both sides of the story, and it's absolutely done massively well from the view of the animators and both the storytelling as a whole.
At first, I considered every person on this side of the sea an enemy. But later, I crossed the sea and slept under my enemy's roof, ate the food they offered me. Raina, I'm the same as you.
And that's just to start the episode. This entire episode is filled with references and answers to past questions of which we had, and is covered in a beautiful way that is true storytelling at its best. When I say Attack on Titan is top 5 animes in terms of pure storytelling and plot, I mean it. The show isn't too heavy on action, or at least some seasons are, but this is one of those shows that are filled with a lot of talking, and it pays off in the long run. I know plenty of people who dropped Attack on Titan due to the story being quote unquote boring and non-action fulfilled. When you stick onto this story and you sit down and it's like you're listening in front of a campfire, when you finally get to the climax and you understand and the reason that Eren is who he is today after the massive time skip, it is really quite satisfying to watch, and it's beautifully told. But this entire episode isn't just about Eren's perspective. We see Eren's friends trying to prepare a plane in order to stop Eren from the rumbling and convince him that his ways are wrong and that Paradise Island is no longer in threat from the rest of the other countries. The rumbling is enough and that Eren needs to stop. This is mass genocide and they are not on board with this. We also see Levi finally get his ass out of bed and start to get into action, saying some cool badass lines like, "If I stay in bed too long, you brats are gonna forget about me." Things are starting to lift up for these characters, and while the rumbling is happening and mass genocide occurring, these characters have a plan to stop Eren and have all the tools in front of them that they need. This is until your boy drops out of nowhere, aiming his gun and shooting at the plane that is almost prepared and ready for takeoff. I was quite curious on how Flock got there myself. His drenched outfit entails that after he was shot, he hook-lined onto the ship in order to follow them all the way to where they were at, and was bleeding out all while doing so. This is the quality of a soldier, somebody who I would want in my circle, because that dude is completely relentless, totally loyal to Paradise Island, and is a die-hard soldier. Not to mention he must have Deadeye from Black Ops 2, because there is no way with him being able to barely lift his arms, he hit all 3 shots on the tank before being killed by Mikasa. But after Jean completes his mission, we find out that the rumbling is a lot closer than the characters think. Things are going down and they don't have much time. There's no way to stall them and there's nobody to do so. And this is until Hange decides that it's her time to shine. In order to give everybody more time to get on the boat, she decides to give Armin the new role of leader and go out with a bang. Now this part of the episode absolutely made me tear up, as Hange was one of my favorite characters and was one of the OGs we saw from one of the first episodes in this show, and it was beautifully done on the part of the studio, and I couldn't have asked for a better way for this character to go out. Levi also acknowledges this and tells Hange before she goes out to buy the team more time to give her heart. Something Levi normally would never say, since he blatantly doesn't have much respect for the corpse as a pretty chill character. This is the first time we will ever hear Levi say this, and Hange acknowledges this as well, giving her a massive blaze in her eyes before she sets out to do her mission. Hange sets out and stops as many of the rumbling titans as she possibly can, and it looks like she's ahead of them, doing quite a massive job, making me wonder myself why the hell Hange wasn't on the front lines in most of the attacks to begin with. If I didn't know any better, I would say that she was almost an acronym. But this doesn't last but so long, as the heat from the titans is too hot for her to endure. She goes out in a literal blaze as her cape sets afire, and she's able to take out one last titan before her beautiful glory goes out in a massive flame. Along with every captain, they must pass the torch, and hers unfortunately goes out. Hange was definitely one of my favorite characters in this show. Her design, fun personality, and quirky attitude is exactly why she is my favorite character.
You can't keep getting away with it! You can't keep getting away with it!
It's made for some hilarious dialogue and for some fun character interaction, especially when things are dire. Her interaction with Peak is exactly what shows this, and is definitely one of the funnier parts of the episode.
力を合わせてなすべきことをなせと。
ピーク。ぜひ今度車力の巨人の背中に乗ってその体温を感じながら。
嫌です。何ですか急に気持ち悪い。
Perfectly placed, since there's so much death and destruction going on. Even though Hange wasn't able to take out all the titans, she did complete her mission and allowed the group to get away successfully in order to go in earnest to fulfill their mission and stop Eren from completing the rumbling. Following this, we see more death, destruction, and despair from everybody who is suffering in the rumbling. The way that the artist depicted the despair and how some characters are blacked out, showing that they have absolutely no hope, was definitely a nice attention to detail, and I like the way that this episode was orchestrated. We see people trying to run, hide, drive away, and all in vain while the rumbling takes place, since the titans are stomping on everything in their path, not depicting between child, animal, or adult. It's both sad and wonderfully animated, since we actually get to see the massacre that is occurring down below. While all this death and destruction is happening, we go back to the group and they discuss in the plane how they're going to actually stop Eren, and how all of this mass genocide is unnecessary and that Paradise Island is safe. How they intend to turn him around and stop him from being in a dark place all alone, and that they want to shoulder their burdens with him. But Eren isn't hearing any of that. Eren brings everybody inside of the Elder Titan's spirit room, and in this room he's able to communicate with them all in real time. But of course, Eren's only words is to tell them that there is no words, and that the rumbling must continue, since he is not leaving Paradise Island's safety up to chance on a whim that everybody will now decide to be peaceful, since Eren has the rumbling as a tool. And upon seeing this scene, I can't lie to you, I actually felt as though Eren was right in his beginning decision to start the rumbling. If Eren never started this, then these people would have never seen the error of their ways to begin with, and would still be trying to target Paradise Island, killing anyone in their path. So I don't see why Eren isn't justified in protecting his own people. Now, I don't think he's justified in committing mass genocide across the entire planet, but I do think destroying their military operations and sending a message and a warning is a smart enough idea to get people to be on the same side and to stop them from targeting the people that he cares and loves about. Initially, when I saw the rumbling, I thought to myself, I absolutely would be a Jaegerist, especially since in the previous episodes we saw what these people were doing to them. But after watching this episode, you're left conflicted, wondering exactly who is right. And this is the same exact status that everybody in the show is left with. Even the people who are trying to stop Eren are conflicting themselves, wondering what rights do they have to stop Eren and set things right when they have themselves committed so many atrocities. At the end of the day, in this show, everybody's hands are full with blood, and everybody's just trying to do what they think is right. And you get that sense throughout the entire episode. Nobody looks certain. There is no fire in their eyes. Both the viewer and the people within the show are conflicted, and that's just how good this anime is depicted massively well. I myself don't even know which side to root on anymore, and I can't wait for the next episode since we don't know how it's gonna end, and the author allegedly stated that the anime will have a different ending from the manga. At this point, I'm not really rooting for either side. I don't know who's right and who's wrong. Even during the rumbling, we see prejudiced behavior and people interacting with each other in a hateful manner during all of this mass genocide, which makes me think that Eren should complete the job, because clearly even the beginning of the rumbling isn't enough for these people to come to terms and drop their hateful acts. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below on which side you would like to win and who do you think will win at the end of the rumbling. I appreciate you guys for watching this video as always. This has been my take on Attack on Titan. I absolutely loved this episode and I cannot wait for the next one.